I published a book on Amazon about how to build retirement wealth with options. Sold about 50 copies, launched a YouTube channel around it, started getting real traction for the first time. And then I ran a stress test on my own strategy and found out it was broken. So I pulled the book off Amazon, I shut the channel down, and I told every single subscriber exactly why. What happened next is the reason I'm sitting here right now. Here's the short version for anyone who wasn't here the first time. I'm an airline pilot, been doing that for a little over 8 years now. Before that, I flew helicopters in the Army for 23 years, 5 combat deployments. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a fund manager. I'm a guy with a 401k, a Roth IRA, and a handful of retirement accounts who always loved finance. I built a rules-based option strategy using SPY leaps, and I wrote a book about it. I tested it before I published. I back-tested it. I traded it with real money across multiple accounts, and it performed well over the period I had data for. But as AI modeling tools got more powerful, I was able to go deeper. I could simulate how options would have behaved in historical periods where leaps didn't actually exist yet. Real interest rates, real volatility, real stock prices from decades ago. And I ran those simulations over and over. Simulation after simulation, different strikes, different cash reserves, different mechanics. I could not stop until I had the answer. And the answer was that the strategy didn't survive. There's a concept in options pricing called carry cost. When interest rates are low, the leverage is cheap and the math works. When rates go up, the cost of holding those positions eats into your edge until there's nothing left. The strategy worked beautifully in the low rate era I tested it in, but it broke down in the high rate environments in the 1970s and early 1980s. It wasn't a bad strategy. It was a strategy that only worked some of the time, and I had been teaching it like it worked all of the time. Once I knew, there was really only one thing to do. I'm a pilot. I run checklists for a living. And if I find a fault in the system, I don't keep flying. I ground the aircraft. That's not a hard decision. That's just what you do. The hard part was making the video. I sat right here and I told my subscribers I was wrong. The strategy has a flaw. I'm pulling the book, I'm shutting the channel down, and I'm sorry. That video is still on this channel if you want to watch it. I almost turned the comments off before I posted it. I'm not exaggerating. My finger was on the button because I thought these people trusted me and I let them down. I didn't want to read what they were going to say. I left them on. 7,000 people watched that video. More than anything I had ever posted. The majority of them had never even seen a single other video on this channel. The comments were not what I expected, not even close. People weren't angry. They weren't telling me I wasted their time. They were saying things like, "This is the most honest thing I've ever seen on finance YouTube." A viewer named Megan wrote that my integrity mattered more than my strategy, and she wasn't alone. Comment after comment said similar things. I had people reach out through email. I watched the subscriber count actually go up after I said I was quitting. I watched that video again the other night, and honestly, it still gets to me. I could hear it in my own voice. People told me it sounded like I was about to break down, and I kind of was. Because I love this. I genuinely love finance. I love digging into the data, testing strategies, figuring out what actually works and what's just noise. When something's eating at me, I will spend 20 hours straight on a problem because I can't stop until I find the answer. This isn't a side hustle for me. This is what I do for fun. And when I realized that I might have been pointing people in the wrong direction with something I was so passionate about, that was a hard thing to sit with. But the response taught me something I didn't expect. People don't need you to be right all the time. They need you to tell the truth when you're wrong. And that's actually rarer than being right, especially on the internet, especially about money. I found the flaw, I shut it down, but what happened after that changed what this channel is going to be. I went back to the data and I started over. I went back and tested everything from scratch. Every strike placement from deep in the money to far out of the money, 67 years of S&P 500 history, and I validated every option price against a live trading platform, not theoretical numbers, real ones. And I found something simpler, 1 trade per year. Market exposure with a small leverage kicker that historically added meaningful boost over normal buy and hold retirement path. I'm going to show you everything, the full back test, every number, every assumption. That's my next video, that's a promise. But this video isn't about the new strategy. This video is about what comes next. This channel was never just about the book. The book was just one piece of something bigger I was building. Education, stress tests, real account tracking, honest conversations about money. That was always the plan, and now I have a story to tell that I didn't have before. I've tried day trading, scalping, covered calls, selling options premium, futures. I've lost real money on things I was convinced would work. And after all of that, the thing that actually builds wealth over time is the boring stuff. Buy and hold with a small edge. Discipline over excitement. Rules over reaction. I know that from experience, not from a textbook. Here's what you're going to see on this channel. You're going to see my real retirement accounts. Real balances, real trades, real positions. When the strategy outperforms, I'll show you. When it underperforms, I'll show you that too. This is not a highlight reel, it's an open cockpit. You're going to see stress tests. I broke my own strategy in public. Now I'm going to put everything else through the same kind of analysis. Popular ETFs, withdrawal rate myths, covered call strategies. I'm going to test it and show you what the data actually says. You're going to see education, how leaps work, how to think about retirement, how Roth conversions actually play out, explained by someone who's doing all of it with real money. And I'll be talking about what's happening in the market and what it means for your money. Not predictions, not hot takes, just honest context from someone who's in it with you. Along the way, the tools I build, the calculators, the spreadsheets, the stress test models, they'll go right in the description box for free. I'm going to make you 3 promises and I'm going to keep them. 1, I will never teach a strategy I haven't stress tested with real data and vetted hard enough to trust my own money with. That one I learned the hard way. 2, I will never accept a sponsorship from a product I don't personally use, and I will never promote something that I wouldn't recommend to my own family. 3, if I'm ever wrong again, you will be the first to know. I'm not going to sell you a course. I'm not going to sell you a Discord membership. That's not where this channel is headed. Everything I learn, everything I test, everything I find, I'm putting it right here. And one more thing, I'm doing this because I love it. I fly airplanes for a living. I have a career. I have a pension. I do this because finance is what I think about when I'm not flying. It's what I study. It's what I test. It's what I will talk to about anyone who will listen. Helping people figure this stuff out is genuinely rewarding to me. That's why I'm here, and that's why I came back. That's the deal. Real money, real data, no hype. The next video drops the full back test. 67 years of data, every strike, every allocation, every number on the table. If you want to see what one trade per year can actually do to a retirement portfolio, you don't want to miss it. If this is the kind of honesty you want from a finance channel, hit the like button. If you want to follow real retirement accounts managed with real rules, subscribe. That's what this channel is. Stay disciplined, stay patient, and I'll see you on the next flight.